Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Void of Thought. We're all about athletic self-mastery. Leave a like on the video, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. Stay tapped in. There's plenty more videos coming. And check out my Patreon too. We're building something very special over there. All the links will be in the description. But for now, let's get on with this knowledge. Peace, y'all. Peace. So I'm going to tell y'all the story of how I became spiritual, or rather how I'd like to put it, how I discovered spirituality for myself, how I discovered my spirituality. Because everybody is a spiritual being having human experience. I'm sure you probably heard that before. And so with that being said, everybody and everyone is inherently spiritual. And so what the difference is do you awaken yourself spiritually, or do you continue to stay asleep and live purely in the physical? And so I'm going to tell y'all how I discovered my spirituality, how I had my spiritual awakening, and how it's helped me to live a better life. And so starting back when I was just a baby, I remember, it's like most people don't remember anything from when they're a baby, but I remember some things from when I was a baby. And I remember always being just naturally curious, naturally inquisitive, observant, and analytical. Those are like just key traits that I had within myself ever since I was a little baby. And I remember I would always just be present with myself. I would always be purely in the moment. I wasn't thinking about anything really going on outside of where I was at physically in my environment and what I could observe. It's like, I remember being probably like 2 or 3, maybe 4 years old. I mean, really, I did it a lot out there in my childhood, but I would just sit down, just say like in the living room, and just stare, like what looked like I was staring off into space, but I was really looking at the energy in the room. Like I would look and just like stare either at the wall or at that so-called empty space in the room. And after a while, probably like after a few minutes, I would see, like, you know how like dust just like kind of like floats throughout the air? It would seem like I would see that, but it would be like an entire like blizzard of dust just like flowing throughout the entire room. And obviously it wasn't dust, it was the actual energy of the room, and I was seeing how the energy was flowing in the room. And I would do that just very often, just observe and just see what I can see, because I was very observant, very analytical. And so I would see what I could see, and in that case I was seeing the energy, and I would analyze what I saw. So back then, in those times, I didn't know what it was that I saw, but I knew it was something. I knew I wasn't like tripping or anything, because I didn't tell anybody about this. I just kept it to myself, and I don't really know why, but I just did. It's probably because I didn't have the words for it, so I didn't even bother trying to tell anyone what I saw and what I was seeing. But I'm glad that I didn't, because that would have opened myself up to somebody either like dispelling, like trying to dispel what I saw, somebody trying to say that it was something else that I saw, or like it's just your mind playing tricks on you. Like I didn't even open myself to that. I just kept it to myself, because I learned how to be alone in my solitude and enjoy my solitude from a very young age. So I didn't feel compelled to even tell anyone really about my experience, because I was just having fun experiencing it. So I would always do things like that. And then like I would watch, like I was that kid that watched like nature docs and like Animal Planet and stuff like that, and just learn from nature, really. And then like I would go outside and just observe like the ants that I saw, observe how they work together, observe how they all formed a line going towards a common destination or a common goal. And then like when they got there, say if it was like they like attacked a bug or something like that, they would all jump in and attack that thing. And just like learning lessons from that, just learning the little intricate lessons from nature, like how to work together to achieve a common goal and how to communicate without verbally speaking, really. And just like stuff like that, I would observe from nature. And also one, especially how to maintain composure under stress. When you're like stressed and anxious, how to like, it's important to stay composed and stay calm in your mind so that you can always be ready to make whatever move is necessary to make. I always observed that from like watching nature docs and stuff like that. And I was just like, again, like I was just naturally observant, naturally analytical. And I would always form my own inner knowings from what I saw. And then I would also at the same time see my inner knowings playing out in what I saw. So it's kind of like a mirroring, like a give and take kind of thing. Like I would receive what I already know, and then I would see what I already know. And so yeah, like that like just giving that background, like that was me as a child. And like, yeah, it's like back then I was playing basketball since I was 2 years old and everything. So like basketball has almost literally always been a part of my life. And I unknowingly applied those lessons that I would learn to basketball, to my basketball. I almost said basketballity, but to my basketball through spirituality. And back then I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just being me. And fast forward to today, I'm doing the same thing. But going back to when I was a child, like the story of my spiritual awakening, it was kind of like a slow buildup because the background of me being observant and curious and analytical set the tone for me in church. Because I grew up in a Christian household. We went to church almost every Sunday. And then like later in life, like as I got older, we stopped going as consistently. But we go to church very often. And just being blunt, it never resonated with me. It never did. I always had questions about like what the preacher was saying, what the pastor was talking about, and like why should we fear God if we're told to love him? Because fear, like I knew just instinctually and intuitively that fear and love are opposites. They don't coexist together. I mean, they coexist on opposite ends of the spectrum, but why would we fear something that we're supposed to love? That never sat right with me. And so like I would always have questions like that. But the answers that I got, they never satisfied my curiosity because I always knew that there was more. And I tried searching for more from the people around me, but people around me, they gave me more like the dogmatic answers. And so my curiosity was never satisfied from going outside of myself. And so on top of being observant and analytical, that was just another reason for me to go within myself for the answers that I was looking for. And so I'm glad that I learned the lesson early on that I have the answers within myself, and that's pretty much it. Like I don't have to go seeking answers externally to apply to myself. I mean, yeah, sometimes the answers are like that. Okay, like the answers are always inside of us, but sometimes we need motivation from someone or something external to really connect the dots internally for what is already within us. And so when I say the answers are all within us, yes, they are literally all within us. But sometimes we have to go outside of ourselves to really trigger that inner knowing, to really connect the dots within ourselves. But going back to like being in the church and everything, I learned to turn to myself for answers. And then also in doing that, I kind of indirectly learned what I was just talking about. I learned how to trust my intuition to guide me to the external sources that would turn me back into myself and see the answers within myself. So, for example, when I got older, and I believe I was 14 to be exact, that's when I first got my iPod Touch. And you know, back in those days, the iPod Touch, either that or the iPhone was everything. And I had the iPod Touch. And that was the first time that I was able to discover music for myself, because I never had a device that allowed me to search for music off my own free will. And I never had money to like go and like buy CDs or anything. Like I never really been to a CD store until like I got my own car and everything, and I was like in college and stuff. So in other words, I never had control of what I listened to musically. And so the iPod Touch was my first experience with that. And remember, since I was little, I was always asking questions. And I always wanted to know the answers to those questions, but I never got those answers. And yeah, I turned to myself, but I didn't get the answers to all my questions. Like, so what more is out there? What more can we be doing? Like, why are we here? Like, those types of questions. Why are we living on Earth? Like, those types of questions. And so, being that I discovered my love for hip hop, and discovered how huge of an aspect of that, of hip hop is within me, I discovered artists like Method Man and his song Bring the Pain. You know how he opens it, I came to bring the pain, hardcore to the brain, let's go inside my astral plane. And then hearing like Rakim and Common, and I believe Mos Def, reference the third eye like a few different times in their songs. And those seeds, those subconscious seeds that were planted, got me thinking. I'm like, wait, hold on, what is an astral plane? And what is the third eye? Like, are they talking about the mind? And then moving on, I discovered artists. This was like the 2012 era, 2011, 2012. I discovered artists like Capital Steez. And of course, Pro Era as well, but Capital Steez was the main one who really resonated with me. Him and AK from the Underachievers. Those two were almost like directly responsible for my spiritual awakening, because they, like, the questions that I was asking, like what is an astral plane, what is the third eye, they were rapping about. So it's like, wait, hold on. These guys are rapping about what I've been asking about. What the heck? Hold on. Okay. So this is cool, and like I love their style too, because it's like more like that traditional New York style. Like, I mean, Capital Steez and Pro Era, like a lot of the time they're rapping it over doom beats, like Madlib and MF doom beats. And I'm like, yo, that's freaking dope. I love that. And plus, the subject matter is something that I'm completely intrigued by. Yeah, sign me up, man. I'm in. And then, so like, I remember like one song specifically, Interlude 47, off Peep the Apocalypse. Like, Capital Steez was like, his whole verse was talking about astral sex. And yes, that's possible. Astral sex is possible. But that fueled my curiosity even more about what astral projection actually is. And so I remember I looked it up. I just Googled, what is astral projection? And then that Google search led me to Ryan Cropper's YouTube channel. And if you don't know who Ryan Cropper is, I suggest you look him up, because he is a tremendous spiritual teacher, spiritual coach, spiritual teacher. Like without him, I probably wouldn't have had as smooth of a journey in the early days of my spiritual awakening. It's like my spiritual awakening was right around that 2012 time. And had I not come across Ryan Cropper's YouTube channel like a year or two later, I forgot when exactly it was, it would not have flowed as smoothly for me. Because he breaks things down, especially like with one of his specialties, astral projection. He broke it down so simply, and the way that he taught it, it was so easy for me to understand. And so it was just like he was talking directly to my soul, directly to my spirit. And I was able to learn how to astral project and become better at lucid dreaming because of his videos. Like, he broke it down, and yeah, it made it easy for me. I mean, of course, there was still work put in and everything, but without him, it would not have been nearly as easy as it was. Of course, it was still challenging, but in the grand scheme of things, if I didn't have any type of teacher, even just YouTube videos to go off of, then it would just be basically trial and error. And yes, listening to my intuition, but not really knowing exactly what I'm doing. But hearing it from someone who is very seasoned, like he's a seasoned veteran with astral projection, that made things a whole lot smoother. And so from that point on, from like the time frame of 2012 to 2014-ish, like I really got going with my spiritual practices. And then like around that time is when because of those spiritual practices, I learned to dive more into myself and to rely on myself, not in a selfish type of way, but just in a way that I truly trust myself. I really love myself and I truly trust myself. And I've been building that trust within myself ever since. And so that's pretty much the story of my spiritual awakening. It was a combination of like the elements that played key roles in it were the combination of me being naturally curious and observant and analytical, hip-hop, discovering my love for hip-hop, and Ryan Cropper, his teachings on YouTube. Like those three things, like you can boil it down to those three things that played directly into my spiritual awakening and what has allowed me to be a better version of myself on my journey, and what I can now say my spiritual journey. Because like I said before, we're all spiritual beings having human experiences. Like that's what I was referring to. That's one of the things I was referring to when I say that there is always more. There's always more than what meets the eye. Because in this universe, like it's literally a fractal universe, meaning everything is in everything. Everything is everything. And just because we perceive what we perceive, it all looks like it's all different and separate and everything. That's not really quite true. You just got to look deeper and see how everything is connected and see how everything is everything. And so how has this improved my life? How has this allowed me to live a better life? Well, the answer to that is by being more conscious and aware of myself, and by knowing myself, by loving myself, by trusting myself, by being grateful for the life that I live, and for knowing my sole purpose, knowing the reason why I chose to come here to Earth. Knowing all of that has allowed me to live a way more fulfilling life. Even though I'm not where I'm at, even though I'm not where I want to be at in life right now, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And just knowing that I have something that I'm continually working towards every single day, that isn't just something physical, that isn't just a financial goal, that isn't just, providing for myself and that's it, or providing for my family and that's it. Like all that stuff is great, but knowing that I'm here to do something way bigger and way deeper than just something that I'm here to do, something that transcends this physical reality, because there is so much more to life and to this universe that we haven't consciously discovered yet. I mean, we're already there subconsciously, because the subconscious mind is basically your God mind. When you tap into your subconscious mind, you see and feel and know that you are everything and that you're connected to everything. You're connected with everything. Of course, there's a degree of separation, but you see that the separation really isn't like just cut and dry and simple. It's a lot deeper to explain, because you just kind of have to see it for yourself. You see that I'm me and that person over there is them, but we come from the same source. We're living and experiencing different lives, but we come from the same source. And going deeper, remove kind of like the Matrix, where you remove like the the physicality of everything and see that we're all literally just connected as beings within the same mind. I mean, I'm getting kind of deep right now. It's like, if you know what I'm saying, then you understand, you're there. But we're all living in the mind of the creator, pretty much. I'll say that. But going back to how it's helped me improve my life and how it's improving my life right now, without knowing myself and without discovering my spirituality, I would not be here making this video today. I'd just be another basketball player who's going for their goal of playing in the NBA or playing overseas and not really having a plan after that, but just kind of making that my entire life's goal. And if I don't achieve that, then my life is worthless. But if I do achieve that, then I achieve success and I'm happy with myself. But nah, man, I'm not that. I'm glad that I moved way past that, because that is not a life that I want to live for myself. That is a life that is really doomed for failure, because if you fail to see that there's more to life than what you see in front of you, then you're not going to go very far in life. Like, there's NBA players who only saw the NBA as their end goal, and they didn't put any thought into anything after that. And then, like, I won't say any names, but if you look at those types of NBA players, those are the ones that usually go broke right after they retire. They done spent all their money. They didn't invest anything. They didn't have a backup plan. They didn't have a plan in general, because they thought they were just going to live off of their money for the rest of their lives. Nope. Because they didn't see that there was a life beyond the NBA. They always knew that it was there, but they didn't actually look at it. They didn't see it. They weren't consciously aware of it. They weren't thinking of it. They weren't focused on it. And so my spiritual journey has allowed me to see that I'm here to live a full life, and I'm also here to set myself up for life after this life, meaning after I transition, whenever that is, and I go, I'm able to choose where I want to go. I can, like, here, I'll give you all a little tip and like a little treat for staying this long in the video. You being like dreaming, lucid dreaming specifically, have you ever had dreams where you're in like the same environment as you were in another dream, or you had like the same exact dream repeatedly? That's you. Most of the time, that's you going to the same place that you created for yourself in the dream world. And that's like a trick. That's a way that you're able to create heaven for yourself. It's like you have your own home in the dream world, and you're able to set it up however you want to set it up. So I'm doing that, but also preparing myself to move into the fourth, fifth, sixth, and the higher dimensions. Because I already had experiences where I was in the sixth dimension. Like, I was experiencing my sixth dimensional self, along with friends from this reality who were their sixth dimensional selves. And like, just for me having that dream, like, I automatically know that, yes, there is something way bigger than this reality, way bigger than this third dimension, way bigger than this earth. I mean, like, you can look out and see the stars and the other planets today. So why aren't you questioning that there is more out there? Like, it's just like the proof is in our faces every single day. And so just seeing that is allowing me to prepare myself to have success in this life, to set up a way for other people to prepare themselves for success in this life, and also to prepare myself and others for the next life, ascension, transcending this plane of existence. That's my ultimate focus. That's my ultimate purpose, to transcend and go beyond this plane of existence, because there is more. There's a lot more, and I'm here to experience it. I'm here to master myself in this body, and in order to become my highest self, like to literally become my highest self. Like, you've heard of like those monks that achieve enlightenment, and their body literally, like, they become light themselves, like their physical body. So like, you hear people talk about the rapture and stuff, like Christians and stuff talk about the rapture, talk about where basically God comes and takes everybody up to heaven who I guess deserves to be in heaven. And that's basically saying that they're ascending, they're physically enhancing, they're physically elevating their frequency, and they're going to a higher plane of existence. They're going to a higher dimension. And so monks and gurus and stuff, and people like that who actually do that here, they're doing, like, they reach enlightenment within themselves. They become their higher selves. They become the God that they are, and they ascend. So that's, I'm giving y'all a lot of like deep game here and deep like personal stuff, but that's basically where I'm headed. And that's why I'm like on this YouTube. That's why I created this YouTube channel, so that I can reach everyone who I'm supposed to reach. And we're all gonna get there no matter what. But do you want to take the slow route, take the route where there's more pain and suffering, where you're not experiencing all that you can be experiencing in life? Or do you want to take the route where you are experiencing everything that you came here to experience, where you are living your passion, where you are living in abundance, where you're living in wealth, where you're providing for your family, where you're doing everything that you came here to do without any of the unnecessary setbacks, unnecessary drawbacks? And so the choice is yours. The choice is all of ours. And I already made my choice, and that's why I'm on this path that I'm on. And yeah, like, that's why I'm opening myself up to talking, to connecting with all of y'all. And yeah, again, if y'all want to hit me up on like Instagram or Twitter, or email me or anything like that, then feel free to. We can chat, we can get to know each other, we can chop it up, and all that good stuff. And so I'm gonna leave it off on that because this video is already running a little bit long. But yeah, man, I'm gonna say peace. I love y'all. That's one love.